Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Doing good, Matthew. My Bengals had a thrilling win today, so I'm pretty psyched about that. Made it through my daughter's slumber party all in one piece, so life is good.
Wow. All right, that's a very good day. A very very good day indeed. All right, let's keep it with your Bengals then, Jeff, to start it off here. Obviously a very big gut check win for the Bengals today, giving up the lead against Green Bay, coming back to win. But one guy obviously catching a lot of people's eyes, the rookie running back for the Green Bay Packers in this game, Jonathan Franklin, surprisingly getting 13 carries, over 100 yards, when everyone probably went out and picked up James Starks on the waiver wire. What do you make of Franklin now?
Well, Starks got hurt in this game, so that gave Franklin the opportunity. Though they did say coming into this week that Franklin looked good in practice, so he got this opportunity. Most of those yards came on one big play, but he went for like 75 yards, I believe, on a touchdown run. But he had a couple other strong runs. He also had the critical mistake in the game, too, because he coughed up a fumble, which was returned for the Bengals' go-ahead touchdown. So a little bit of a mixed blessing there.
All right. Elsewhere in fantasy football today, Jake Locker, 299 yards passing today, Jeff. Obviously, the fantasy geeks out there would have liked another yard for bonus, but is there any way that this maybe springboards him into being relevant in fantasy?
Yeah, a little bit here. When we start to hit the bye weeks, you can look at him. He got a rushing touchdown in this game, and that's something to remember is he's a mobile quarterback. Maybe not so much as some of the other guys in the league. They don't run the zone read from or anything like that. But I think he's a guy that can help out a little bit there. I'm in 1-2 QB league where I did start him today, so I was pretty happy with that.
Jeff, what do you make of Josh Gordon's debut this week, or this year rather, with the Browns? 10 catches, 146 yards. They get him back. Cleveland wins on the road in Minnesota under a new quarterback in Brian Hoyer. Is he a guy that's able to sustain some good numbers, maybe not 10 catches?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are looking at him as having some upside. But as soon as we saw all the changes that happened over this week with the Browns, we're like, okay, it's Hoyer and not Whedon. Okay, they traded away Trent Richardson. I'm kind of nervous about this. Well, maybe not so much. Hoyer looked better than Whedon did all year. They got a true test coming up next week against the Bengals. The Vikings defense, pretty darn awful. So we're going to see a little bit of a different thing. But yeah, Gordon's dynamite. He's just chance of trying to get him out there and get him open a little bit more often, get the ball to him. They got a quarterback that looked to him a lot today. He and Jordan Cameron could be in store for a lot of targets the rest of the season.
Jeff, in New England today, interesting what's happening at that running back position. It's kind of been by committee all year with Bill Belichick going by feel. It seems like maybe he chose LeGarrette Blount today because he's a former Buccaneer and they were going up against Tampa Bay. He ends up with 65 yards today. Meanwhile, Brandon Bolden, another of the runners there, picking up some decent yardage, and Stephen Ridley not being able to get it going. What do you make of that backfield?
Today is the day I put my trade offer in the Stephen Ridley owner's inbox there. This is the year going to buy him at absolute lowest value. I still think he's the guy in the long run, but yeah, today's kind of scary, just like it's a little scary if you're a David Wilson owner too, or any player on the Giants after today. But yeah, I do think that this is not a bad time to buy in. I'm not buying Blunt at all. Bolden maybe I'd consider, but I think keep in mind the type of game this was too. 20-3 was never close. They just kind of ran it down on. I think it ended up 23-3, but there's just a case there where it was a grinded out sort of game. In other games, Ridley will have some value still.
All right, Jeff. In New Orleans, nice performance today on only 4 carries, 38 yards for Kyrie Robinson, but he ends up being their leading rusher of this game, as Pierre Thomas only 11 carries, 28 yards. What do you think of the value of Robinson moving forward?
Just that was a bit of a fluke. I think what's going to happen instead is it's a case there where every once in a while, with no Ingram today, they were going with Thomas more. They were throwing a little bit here and there to some of the other guys. But don't worry, this is not he's not a guy that I'm going to be spending my fab dollars on unless there's major injuries in that Saints backfield.
All right, Jeff, let's move on here. Sidney Rice, 2 touchdowns today so far in their game against Jacksonville. A lot of people were buying high on Golden Tate prior to the year. Is Sidney Rice maybe have a chance here to return to what he did in Minnesota?
Yeah, and you notice these, you mentioned the 2 touchdowns. He's a bigger target than Tate is, so he's more likely to be a red zone target.
All right, let's move on. Jacquez Rodgers, 18 carries, 86 yards on the ground so far in Atlanta versus Miami, which is still ongoing. A very close game right now at the 2-minute warning. Do you like what you see for the future there, or is this just sort of, all right, Steven Jackson's out for a bit, so that's why it's happening?
Well, he showed that at least for 1 week he can handle a good part of the load. Snelling's made some plays too in this game. Atlanta surprisingly run the ball pretty well against Miami. I was a little surprised by this, but I do think that that's a case where you're going to have to watch Jackson week in, week out, because that's going to cloud up the picture a little bit. But if you're in a keeper league, Rodgers all of a sudden becomes a little bit more interesting.
Jeff, if you're an owner of D'Angelo Williams, he had 120 yards today against the Giants. Are you maybe trying to look to trade him at his high value here, or do you think he can be a vintage D'Angelo Williams kind of back this year?
Yeah, I'm looking to trade him. Notice that, in the two goal line situations, they went with Tolbert and then Cam Newton on a quarterback sneak. Williams did not get the goal line carries, and that's always been the rub with him.
Interesting. Yeah, didn't look at that. And in Washington today, they keep piling up the losses, but Robert Griffin III, another 300-yard game. Everyone's talking about how he's not the same and all that kind of stuff, but if you're a fantasy owner, you're happy, aren't you?
Yeah, of course. You'd like to see him start running a little bit more. But like I heard this morning, once they take that knee brace off, that's when you know they're going to start running that zone read a little bit more. Pretty tough for him to make some of those cuts with the knee brace on. So I look at it as a case there where, the defense is so awful, though, you're almost always going to get those garbage time passing yards. The offense has been pretty decent. Detroit's actually a pretty good defense, too. So I think that, you got to be pretty pleased as an RG3 owner.
All right, and because of what happened today with the Giants, if you're a fantasy player, are you looking to try and trade for a guy like Cruz or Nix or Randall with the Giants, or would you just stay away from them in general?
I'd try to go get all those guys. They're going to throw the ball a lot. I look at them as a player. I think that they're going to be guys that often are going to get targeted. Same thing with the Redskins. I think that defense is just so awful. But I am really concerned about that Giants offensive line. Eli Manning was running for his life today. He's getting sacked left and right. So I don't think that I think that's the one problem that could be a huge concern. But yeah, I'm trying to trade for those receivers if someone's really panicking after today.
He is Jeff Erickson. The website is rotowire.com. And Jeff, what's the latest offers there? Slash what?
Or just rotowire.com/free. Same thing as always. Go ahead, get that free 10-day trial. Getting ready for your hockey drafts. Our draft kit is up on the site right now. I'm in the middle of one of my hometown league's drafts. It's an ongoing mail draft, but I got another one on Monday night in the keeper league. So kind of getting thoughts about that as well as football as well, and even finishing out the season in baseball.
And as always, people can follow Jeff_Erickson on Twitter.com. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Enjoy the rest of the action today.
Thanks, Matthew.